Hey everybody, Doug here from 2 Plus Stuff, and this video is going to be a little bit different today. You see, recently I had a good guy named Chris reach out to me over on, I believe it was Facebook, and just asked a few basic questions about how to build an army in terms of how do you pick an allegiance, what does that mean, how to build a list, a legal list, that kind of stuff, how battleline works, a lot of beginner questions, and rather than sending him a meaty wall of text, I thought, hey, why don't we just have a conversation? I'll explain it to you online. Let me record it and we can put it out for other people to learn as well, because I do think that in this community, it's easy to take for granted that everyone knows all the basics of the game, and that simply isn't true. Age of Sigmar is a game that it's been growing in popularity pretty steadily since the General's Handbooks started coming out, really. And so there's a lot of things that we as players who've been playing for a while understand that we just kind of don't think about. Hey, if someone is new to this entire hobby, they don't necessarily get all the things that we assume they would understand. So I decided to record that conversation. It was a great conversation. He was a super awesome guest, very eloquent, asked good questions. Hopefully I gave good answers. And any references to different types of services or, like the War Scroll Builder, all that kind of stuff, it's all going to be in the description down below for you so you can reference what we're talking about and follow along. I hope you enjoy this. It's just a little thing that I'm putting out there for folks who are brand new to the game. If you have questions like this, you can always go ahead and feel free to leave in the comments down below, and either I or some other people in the community who are extremely helpful in this YouTube channel community will help you out. So thank you all so much, and now we'll cut over there. Hey everybody, I'm here hanging out with Chris. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Doing well. So, kind of make a long story short, you reached out to me with some questions about getting started with playing and list building and all those kinds of things in AOS. And rather than just send you a massive wall of text, I decided, why don't we record this, because I get those questions frequently. And so I kind of made a little minor outline, but I want, this is conversational. You can just ask whatever you want, whenever you want. Let me kick this off. How did you learn about AOS?
So I got into the hobby and stuff like that through Total War, actually. I'm sure
cool.
a lot of people kind of come in through that. So I got the first Total War, and I just really liked the fantasy setting. So then I bought a lot of the books, and I just read the books really, really hard. And kind of just evolved from there, right? I've got some of the models and said, I just want to be a builder and a painter, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then I got a bunch of models, and now I'm going, what am I going to do with them, right? I got to do something with them. And I watched some bat reps, so a lot of re-rolling ones and some
sure.
And I just really, it looks like a lot of fun. It looks like everybody in the community is so nice already. Right? I just really want to get involved in it. So that's how I kind of evolved, right?
That's awesome. That's that's a cool journey. It's similar to mine. I actually started with 40K and then switched over to fantasy, but I started with Dawn of War, their video game that came out in 2007 or something like that, way ago. But so that's awesome.
It's been a good ride. I like it so far, a lot. So
awesome. That's cool. And so what's the point you're at right now in terms of, you said you have some models, what army are you collecting? Or are you kind of just picking what sounds cool?
Right now I'm trying to do, I started, actually, when I first started painting, I have a Sylvaneth army or all that, but I don't really want to play with them. So they're kind of just sitting. But I'm trying to build a Slaves to Darkness and a Khorne army. And I'm not really familiar with allegiance abilities and how they work, and what exactly battalions are, or what battle tome to buy.
Sure.
I don't really all that kind of really newbie beginner questions that are you kind of have to sit through to find, stuff like that. Roster building, things like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, and those are great, because a lot of times in online content, we always assume that people know all this stuff, and it's not intuitive if you don't already play war games. Whereas if you were to switch to 40K, once you learn AOS, oh, this is easy, this is old hat. But
you have something to base it off.
Yeah, exactly. So let's help you out. So you say you wanted to build a Khorne Slaves to Darkness-ish army. What I would suggest you do is grab the Blades of Khorne battle tome. So basically, the way armies work in AOS, to put it really simply, is you look at the War Scroll for every unit that you have, and if they all have one of those keywords at the bottom in common, you can choose that keyword to be your allegiance. So, for example, you could choose Chaos, because they would all have Chaos. And that would make you the Chaos Grand Alliance thing. You can, because Slaves to Darkness are a little unique, they can choose to have a Chaos Gods keyword with them.
Okay.
So they can all the Slaves to Darkness stuff can choose Khorne, and all of a sudden everything in your collection has the Khorne keyword, and that's what makes you a Khorne army.
Okay.
Okay. And so it works very simply. It just everybody has to have something in common.
Okay. That's I guess that's a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. So
Yeah.
and that works across the board, right? For order and for destruction,
Yep.
right? It works. Okay.
And so really what it is it's opportunity cost if how you want to build your army. So for example, if you were to go with Grand Alliance Chaos, you could pick anything that is Chaos. It could be like the little rat guys, Skaven. It could be the putrid Nergal dudes that I play, that kind of stuff. So you get more choices, but you lose out on some of the cool like special abilities of different armies. And so again, that's does that make sense?
Well, cool special abilities. Like, what do you mean? Like, if I bring, like, what exactly does?
Sure. Yeah. So if you were to pick up a battle tome, do you own any of the battle tomes at all?
I actually kind of went out on a limb, and I actually got on your recommendation. I got a lot of stuff from Discount Gaming.
Oh, sweet!
And I got a Khorne battle tome coming in the mail in the next couple of days, so it'll be here.
Okay. So when you get that battle tome, it's going to say towards the back where it's all the war scrolls and all that kind of like the gamey, crunchy stuff. It's going to say, if your army is chosen the Khorne keyword for its allegiance, you get the following benefits. And Khorne does some cool stuff where as your units die, you get like resource mechanics. You can summon demons and that kind of cool stuff. Oh. And so if you go with a Grand Alliance, you get all the choices, but no special cool flavor thematic stuff. Whereas if you basically align yourself to one of the battle tomes, it's kind of like they're rewarding you for playing a thematic army.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah, where things aren't clashing and these forces that wouldn't normally work together are working together. So if you're all on Khorne's page, you get these Khorne special abilities is basically how it works.
Now with Khorne specifically, and this is kind of just a streamlined question, I guess.
No, you're fine.
Bloodbound, is that what it is? Bloodbound or demons, or can I bring a mix of both? Or do I have to pick one and then stick with the...
Oh yeah, you can mix it up. So it's literally anything that has the Khorne keyword. So both Khorne demons,
just as long as they have the Khorne keyword. Okay.
Bloodbound will have that, and all of your Slaves to Darkness stuff can choose that keyword. So you're all set.
All right, cool. And battalions and information about battalions is, if I understand it correctly, it's just you bring these specific units and you get X buff.
Yep, pretty much.
Okay, and those are all listed in the battle tomes or however.
Yep, and the points are all in the back for you because the battle tomes cost things, like they have a points cost associated with them. So you get fewer points to build your list, but you're kind of weighing the points and those benefits that you get from them.
Okay.
For me personally, I take battalions just because I think they sound cool. I'm like, oh, that sounds rad. And I usually don't care about the points missing out. But
well, yeah, definitely. I mean, and I'm probably going to get into it and be more of a narrative player anyway, right? I'm pretty relaxed. So, what about now? This is kind of off a little bit. But what about artifacts? What are artifacts? How do I know what I can bring, and how do I know exactly what they do?
Yeah, so there's quite a bit of information. So when you go to the back, that crunchy part of your battle tome again, the same place where it says, if you all have the Khorne keyword, you get this ability. Like I think theirs is called like the Blood Tithe is how they do the summoning and that kind of stuff. It'll also say you get to choose from these artifacts. And the way artifacts work is kind of weird. They've kind of patched it together over time, which is why it's so awkward. But basically, let's assume that you're playing a Khorne army, right? Everything in your list is a Khorne keyword. You're taking that allegiance. You get a free artifact from their tables. They have a table for demons, bloodbound, and mortals, which is like Slaves to Darkness. You get to pick one. For every battalion that you take, you get an additional artifact. So you could start doubling up. So You could give like a bloodthirster or a huge axe. You could give a guy on the ground something else. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And do those are they? I mean, are they single use or?
So it'll say when the art in the actual artifacts entry, some of them are very few of them are single use. Like the weapons are like it just changes their weapon profile, like just
Okay.
period.
Adds attacks or minus
Yeah,
one hit roll or whatever.
exactly. Yeah, and those don't go away. There are some single use ones, but they're kind of corner case. Like
Okay.
it'll say once per battle you can do blank, so it makes it clear.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it does specify in the battle
Mm-hmm.
tone. Okay. And that only applies to heroes and stuff, I'd imagine.
Yes, yeah. Anything with the hero keyword, I believe. There's some specific units that are kind of in a weird area, but you don't have to worry about that. That's like goblins.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I respect goblins. Well, how now that kind of leads me into hero question, kind of
Okay.
leads me into this. How do I pick a general? Do I do it based on their command abilities or just who the heaviest hitter is? Or how do I make that choice?
Yeah, there's a few different approaches to this, and there's not really a wrong one. So I'll give you a few examples. So part of it comes down to list building, which we can kind of move into, and that might answer your question. In the back of the book, it'll tell you how do I word this? So to make a legal list, in the back of the book, you need to have, for a 2,000 point army, which is kind of the standard that people play, you need to have a general and 3 what are called battle line units. It's just like your minimum troop requirement of basic dudes. And the reason some people choose a general, including myself, is because in the back where their unit entry is, it'll say, this unit can be battle line if you choose this specific type of general. So for me, I have the big fat flying Puscoil Blight Lords guys on flies. They become battle line if I have the hero version of them. And so that's why I choose him. Some folks, it is just super arbitrary and it just doesn't matter. Like,
Just whoever.
yeah, pretty much. Some of them, they just don't care. Like I know we'll pick on them as an example again, like Gloomspite gets. The goblins, none of their artifacts, like they're not killy. They're not going to put it on their strongest guy because their strongest guy is still weak as chips. So it doesn't really matter. You can just read through the artifacts and like pick effects and that kind of stuff. But for the most part, unless you have like a specific thing you want to unlock in terms of being a battle line troop, it doesn't really matter. You can kind of pick whoever you think is cool.
So what? So with battle line, because that is actually another question that I have.
Yeah.
So battle line, how can I distinguish what is and is not battle line? Because I was on, I think it's called War Scroll Builder,
Yeah.
and I was just kind of farting around on there, and Blood Warriors battle line, Chaos Warriors battle line, but like Wrathmongers not considered battle line. So how do I know what is and is not considered battle line?
For sure, yeah. So on the very last page of your battle tome when it comes to you, it's going to be this chart that just has the units, the points, and it'll say additional info. Most of the time it's blank, but if they're battle line, it'll say battle line. And so it literally just tells you these specific units are battle line.
Okay.
And if there's some kind of qualification beneath them, it'll kind of explain how that works too. So to give you an example, actually there's a great example with my army. So I play Nergal, which is kind of similar to your Khorne in terms of, you have a Chaos God and they can also take some Slaves to Darkness stuff.
Give them the mark.
Yeah, exactly. So for Nergal, Plague Bearers are always battle line. 100% of the time, nothing's needed to make them anything else. They're just there. If I choose to play Nergal specifically, like that's my allegiance, then my Blight Kings, the big fat guys with axes, become battle line. So that's like one level removed, right?
Right.
And then my big fat fly guys are, if you're Nergal and this specific dude is a general, and that's about as complicated as it gets, to be honest with you.
Pretty easy though.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty easy. Right. There's Skaven have a weird thing that I don't like, but don't worry about that. Where
they have a lot of weird things that a lot of people don't like.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that's kind of their theme. When it comes to battle line, but that's overall that's how you choose, and it makes it very clear. Like in this situation, this is how you unlock things. Yeah, and then what's cool about War Scroll Builder Online is that it does check those for you. Like, it'll say Battleline, and then, like you mentioned, the Wrathmonger is not Battleline, so it's not there. But if there is like a specific qualification, it'll list that as well.
Okay. Okay. Um, and then so I mean and you can have a maximum of three usually, is that right?
It's a minimum of 3. You can have as many as you
Oh,
want.
minimum. Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, so
Oh,
like you
okay.
have Blood Reavers, for example, in Khorne. You
Sure.
could, if you just hated yourself and you wanted to have back problems the rest of your life, you could just have like 200 Blood Reavers moving across the table.
Right.
I won't recommend it, but
Yeah.
you could.
Yeah, before you know it, it's a 4 hour game,
Hmm.
moving them around. Uh, Now, okay, so there's a minimum amount of battle line that I have to have. Is
Yep.
there a minimum or a maximum number of heroes that I have to have?
Yes, let me double check on the numbers because I have a poor memory.
That's that's okay.
Let's see, there is. So let's see, if you're doing a 2,000 point game, you have to have at least one hero.
Okay.
It could, to have a general,
Sure.
and a maximum of 6. There is a cap on that one.
Okay. Yeah, because I guess you could just spam, right?
Yeah, basically, yeah, you could just have a whole army of just beat houses, which is kind of what Slanesh tries to do.
um, if I if I pick a general, right,
Mhm.
and I'm allied, maybe the chaos isn't such a good example because they all have the mark, but they're allied, right?
Yeah.
Like Grand Alliance Order or something. Can the general come from that alliance, or does it have to be from like the base army, I guess you would call it?
Uh, oh, you mean can you ally in your general?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you can't, unfortunately. So let's say
Okay.
you pick Khorne and you want to have some. They can take Beastmen, I think, as an ally or something like that.
Uh-huh.
You can't ally in your general or battle line. Your battle line has to only counts if it's from your allegiance.
Okay. All right. I think that's it. That's all I got for you right now,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah. So it's trying to think of anything else to help other folks. Yeah, I mean, it does seem like a lot at first, and it's probably
It's a little overwhelming. I'm not gonna lie to you, but
yeah.
it seems like it's pretty um introductory friendly into the whole thing, you know?
Absolutely, yeah. And what I would say is, if you're going to start playing, playing at 1,000 points, I definitely think is smarter,
Okay.
just to get you used to it. Because at that point, you only need one hero, 2 battle line. And so, in your
Oh.
case, if what kind of collection do you have right now in terms of like Slaves to Darkness, Corn, that kind of stuff?
I have uh I have one unit of 20 Chaos Warriors, one unit of 10 Blood Warriors, and then just a bunch of heroes.
You're all set. I mean, you got everything you need. Because, for example, if we're going to build a Corn army when your book comes, you have a
Mhm.
hero. Obviously, you have a bunch. And then if you give Chaos Warriors the mark of Corn, they are battle line, period, no matter what they're in. And then your Blood Warriors become battle line in a Corn army. So you have a hero, 2 battle line choices all ready to go.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. So I would,
Actually, I did think of one more thing. If
yeah,
you
go
don't,
for it, please.
sorry for interrupting, if you don't mind. This is actually not related to roster building. This is not any of
Okay,
that. But
go for it.
I was going through the AOS app,
Yeah.
and I was just looking at some war scrolls and all that kind of stuff. And I did have a question about damage allocation.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So sometimes it says when you roll, a unit has say 6 attacks, right?
Yes.
And it says on a hit roll, if
Mm.
you roll a 6, you do d6 extra wounds on top of any normal damage.
Okay.
When does that get applied, and does a save roll get applied to that?
Yeah. So, do you have a specific example, like a unit you were thinking of? Just because
So,
they're kind of
so
written
I
a little different.
bought the Godcheck model a while ago just because it's a cool one, and I was,
Oh, the
getting
Go
it.
Trek.
Yeah, and he's OP, I guess. And so I was looking
Yeah.
at it. And he honestly should be. And I was looking at it, and let me see if I can find it real quick.
No, it's cool. I'm pulling it up as well, so it's cool. It's just
Yeah, right here, Crag Blackhammer's Master Rune. You can reroll hit and wound rolls for this attack model. In addition, if the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with this model is 6, that attack inflicts d6 mortal wounds on the target in addition to any normal damage.
Sure. So something like that. We're just going to cut out the first part. We'll go to like the 6 because that's kind of what you were curious about. What happens? So if you roll a hit roll of a 6,
Right.
2 things happen. One, you also get to roll your normal wound roll because it says in addition to any damage. So what that means is you're going to do d6 wounds, mortal wounds off to the side, and then finish the rest of your attack normally. And then you kind of put those values together. So let's give an example here. So you rolled a 6 to hit. Let's say you roll a 3 for the mortal wounds. Just kind of keep that in the back of your head. You got 3. And then you're going to roll to wound with that same weapon. Let's say it's 6 success, and then he does his damage with that normal weapon, and when all that's done, 3 mortal wounds on top.
And then the save rolls.
Sort of. So there's no save against mortal wounds, which is why it's like a devastating thing. But the normal wounds, yes, you would get a save.
Okay, so normal wounds you get the save, and then you put the mortal wounds on top.
Basically, yeah. And if a unit has a I don't want to call it a save because that gets confusing, but some units have a entry on their war scroll that's like, when it takes a mortal wound on a 5-up, it ignores it, that kind of thing. So it's not a save technically, but they still get a try.
Right, it's not technically a save, but it's it's
it's a save with a pretty big asterisk next to it.
All right, well that wraps me up. I mean,
okay, awesome. So
go ahead.
Oh, I was going to plug a few resources for other folks who have similar questions, and that it's a War Scroll Builder, which we talked about. I'll put that in the links down below, as well as the AOS app, which you can go on an iOS store or the Google App Store, whatever. And then, are you familiar with AOS Reminders?
No, I'm not.
Okay. This is the greatest website ever made by a fan.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so it's just called AOS Reminders, and basically, you can go there. You can upload the units you're taking in your army, and what it does is it takes all those little intricate special rules on their war scrolls and reorganizes them by phase. So you're only reading the thing that's important the moment you need it. Really? And so it's a really great tool for like learning your army, not making sure you don't forget rules because you're not like scattered around 8 different war scroll pages and that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah. No. That actually sounds really, really fantastic.
Yeah. It's
that's really great.
And he does it for every army, so you should be all set there.
Awesome.
So
I'll look into that later today for sure.
Yeah. So is there anything else I can help you with, my friend?
I think that's it, man. You've been really great. I really appreciate all your help this morning and your time.
Okay, awesome. I will catch you in our little chat later. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, man. Have a good one.